one of the things related to doing this whole thing about research is, first of all, what is it that I need to know? And a lot of times we get stuck right there. You know, just what kinds of questions or what are the right questions to be asking? And the first thing we're going to start off with is just looking at the industry itself. What industry are you functioning in? And if you can define your industry, then information becomes easier to get. So one of the things that we're going to talk about is this whole thing of industry classification, that kind of thing, and what kind of information you want to get related to your industry. So now, the first thing about doing this whole thing about industry research, there's something called the Industry Classification Code. And all industries are classified by some industry classification. And I'll give you a couple of websites where you'll be able to go find yours. But these classifications are standard in terms of any commerce that's being done in our country. And up under each industry classification, there are specific type businesses. For instance, if you're in the food service industry, then under food service you're going to have restaurants, you're going to have caterers, and all of the other ways you can divide it. Grocery stores, all that kind of stuff divided up. Retailers, you may have clothing, apparel, pet products, supermarkets, home goods, home improvement product retailers. You would have those different types of businesses classified. So the first thing is to try to identify what those industry classification codes are and which one you fall under. All right, that's the first thing. So once you define what classification code is, it then gets to be what kind of information is it that you really need to know. And I think one of the first things that people want to try to get identified with is just some general background in the industry that you're talking about functioning in. When I talk about general background, you want to get information related to a little bit about the history of the industry and who makes up the players in the industry in terms of not only looking at specific companies, but how the distribution network may be lined up, all of the specific information related to that. In addition to that, you want to find information about trends. One of the things about being in business today that's different probably from any other time that we've had in our country's existence is that things change real fast, real quick. What's in today, tomorrow can be obsolete. A few years ago, MP3 players came out, and after they had been out about 3 months, they were obsolete. You know, you had iPods, all other kinds of things, you know, to do the same thing even better. So, looking at trends and studying trends in your industry becomes very important, so you'll know where the things are headed. You never can get your grip around everything that's going to occur, but having some idea of where the type businesses that you are trying to emulate, what's happening with them as it relates to some future development. You want to have some idea about that. All right? The third thing is having a good idea about whom I am competing against out here in the marketplace. For whatever it is that you're selling, there's somebody out there that's selling the same thing, something similar, or a substitute for what you're selling. And a lot of times in terms of the item that you're trying to sell, you really don't know how to present it to the marketplace unless you know what your competitors are presenting and how they are presenting it. And we'll just talk a little bit more about that when we talk about specifics related around competition. But that's another area from this industry research standpoint that you want to be doing. All right? The other piece about, as it relates to the industry, you want to have some idea of sales, market size, just general information. Some of it you may or may not even use specifically related to your business, but just to have a good background in your industry and how it works. That's a good place for all businesses to be, particularly as it relates to getting started in this thing. You want to have some idea of where it's going. But even in your industry, 20 years ago, you probably didn't have as many daycares as you got now. What were some of the things that changed that caused so many daycares to evolve over the last 10, 15 years or so?
Money. They saw money.
Saw money, all right.
They saw opportunities.
And what gave rise to those opportunities?
More children being born.
Okay.
More children being born. But family, people going back to work and
Okay.
Mothers, parents that used to sit home, mothers that used to sit home. Now, you know, with the economy, they had to go back to work. They having to have child care now.
All right. So it's looking at information like that to give you some idea of what trends are going to be. We're going to talk about this when we talk about this positioning, topic of positioning. But one of the things with the economy being as bad as it has been over the last couple of years or so is that it has given a rise to a new pattern in types of supermarkets that are out here. You know, we used to go to, you know, the ShopRites and what are some of the major supermarkets? Pathmark and stuff like this. But because the economy has been tight, a lot of families have been squeezed. What's coming to the marketplace because of that are all these little discount, off-brand grocery stores. They're smaller. They don't carry the branded merchandise, but they carry merchandise that's a lot of times under their own brands that sell for a lot less than national brands. That came from looking at trends, where things were headed, people's shopping patterns, their dollars and what have you, and these companies were able to make decisions based on that information about how to position themselves in the marketplace. So that's where that whole knowledge base of what's happening with developing trends in your industry makes a difference in terms of the decisions that you can make about your own business. You want to
I was even going to say some of the bigger stores haven't scoffed at the